Sky Squad, we are back in the building, baby, and we got to talk the news about Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, I was going to do this earlier, but I had two interviews today. One that came out today with Letitia Scott from Love and Marriage Huntsville. Hopefully, you guys got a chance to check that out. And if you haven't, it is live on the channel now. I have one interview coming tomorrow, another one to do on Friday, and the one I did this afternoon will come out sometime next week, just because I need to space them out. So be on the lookout. Lots to come on the channel. But today we're talking the Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, the trailer was just released yesterday, and already we have some cast reactions coming out of the trailer, okay? Now, listen, these ladies look amazing in this red. I think whoever chose red, bravo to you, okay? But we got to talk about some of the reactions coming out of the infamous scandal that they're trying to make happen with Chris Bassett, okay? In the trailer, there was a moment where Ashley alleges that there's a DM asking, why she's not somewhere where, I guess, at the rooftop or something. And she is telling, I think, Robin this. And then, there's an allegation from Gizelle about, Chris saying something that make her feel uncomfortable, like he might be trying to get with it and he might be the sneaky link. Well, Chris got some things to say, and so does Candiace, okay? So Chris says this. He says, well, I guess after 6 seasons, it's finally my turn. Hashtag Real Housewives of Potomac. Well, we told you that, Chris. I mean, listen, I like Chris. Do I think that this is true? Nope. But I do feel as though his time was coming. We've seen it happen time and time again with the Green-Eyed Bandits, accusations of a husband's infidelity, okay? And so here we are with the latest season's infidelities in the Potomac area, okay? And someone says, but you were sliding into another woman's DMs. I'm assuming they're talking about Ashley's per the trailer. And then he says, was I? Based on the trailer, that's what it looked like, right? So then another person says, but sir, you were in her DMs with the looking eyes emoji. He says, guess you will have to watch and find out with the shrugs. Doing a good job of piquing our interest, as one should do when you're on a reality TV show. I am glad that he is following the protocol for reality TV 101 and not giving away the storyline. Sometimes people are so quick to, give away elements of a story when we get a trailer that it really does no justice to allowing the story to play out. And so what I'm glad to see is that from a reality TV production and fanatics standpoint, Chris did not fall privy to giving away what the narrative will be, because producers tend to want the audience to make those decisions for themselves based on how they narrate a scene, whose perspective they choose to focus on in a specific scene, what reaction shots are gotten throughout the scene, who is given the narration of the confessional throughout the scene. The producers can usually lead us in a certain direction, but ultimately, oftentimes, they will want us to come to our own conclusions, right? And so I'm glad he didn't fall into that whole narrative of giving it all away. So he then goes on to say, well, let me pull up my phone so I can see it a little bit better, because y'all, listen, I got bright lights on my eyes every day. So Y'all just got to work with me. Anyway, he says, but why are you inviting them out in the wee hours of the night? Because in the trailer, it was said per Ashley that this occurred around 2 in the morning. And he says, everybody, because I run the rooftop there. So apparently that was why he was saying, well, this is where you should be because this is the place where I'm running. So y'all need to be here partying and not someplace else. So anyway, Chris then says being able to understand context in the English language is confusing to many people, especially in this group. So I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. Further news, Candiace responds and says, one thing about it, Misery is going to stick her neck rolls in someone's marriage, referring to who I am assuming to be Gizelle. And that seems to be the narrative arc and the role that Gizelle plays on the show. In real life, I doubt this woman is concerned about anybody's own. Gizelle, if you look at her on Instagram, I really think that Gizelle is living Gizelle's best life. And I really think that Gizelle does what she does because that's her role on the show. I mean, I'm looking at this I'm trying to look at shows now from more of a production standpoint. Like, what do I think is really happening here? Okay. But anyway, we got to talk about another idea, another thing that's happening. Um, so months ago, we knew or we had heard about an altercation who many thought was between Candiace and Mia in Miami, but it was later revealed to be Mia and Wendy. And there was some speculation about who threw a glass or something like that. At the time, I remember it making the news, but I don't remember any particular backlash, but I readily admit that I wasn't really looking for any backlash because for me, if someone throws a drink on reality TV, to me, it's a TV trope, right? And what I mean by trope is that this is something common that we've seen happen on shows, especially like the Real Housewives of New Jersey. We've seen drinks and tables thrown. We've seen glasses broke on and drinks thrown on Beverly Hills. So to me, this gives me dynasty level, and Housewives is kind of like a little bit of a dynasty-esque type show. You know what I'm saying? Especially when the men are involved. I feel like it harkens back to those classic days of the ultimate divas like the Joan Collins and the Diane Carrolls, getting with the Alexis Carrington and the Dominique Devereaux battling it out, you know what I'm saying? And even getting into their own physical altercation back in the day on Dynasty. So anyway, I cannot speak to what Wendy experienced at the time because I wasn't really monitoring the socials around the subject, but I did see that it had occurred. Something that occurred, right? So I can only assume that Wendy experienced some level of backlash from that, as she is indicating here. And so someone posted, they're already saying Wendy deserved a drink thrown at her. The laps people run to defend these light-skinned women in the show, hashtag Real Housewives of Potomac. And then Dr. Wendy says, I vividly remember the outrage when people falsely assumed I threw a glass. Now we all see the truth and magically the outrage disappears. How convenient. Now, what I will say is that I am glad that Wendy did not did exactly what I said Chris also did, was despite the idea that people assumed that she threw something, she did not give into the temptation to clear her name. She simply let people think what they needed to think because it also keeps the narrative arc of the story a bit of a surprise. So I'm looking at this again, like I said, from a reality TV producer perspective. I feel like she did the right thing by not clearing her name, although I am sure she wanted to, and I would not have blamed her if she did. But in terms of, the network will probably say, don't do this, don't say anything. Everything will play out when it plays out. But based on what she is saying here, that people are not outraged now that they have seen the clip. And the clip, for those who haven't seen it, is this right here, courtesy of our friends over at OMFG Reality TV, where we see Mia tossing what appears to be a martini in the direction of Wendy. Okay. I can't tell if any of it lands on her, but it's still enough to have, I would have been mad, okay? Especially if you ruin my clothes. Anyway, Candace says, I'm also excited to see what brown paper bag acrobatics are used to defend certain deplorable behaviors by certain sects of the viewership. So my question is this a viewer issue or is it a cast show issue? Um, you guys let me know in the chat down below. I guess what I can say is that um I am again just glad that from the perspective of someone who reviews these shows, it is nice to see that we didn't know every single thing that happened in this show, or even when we did hear about it, it wasn't always what it seemed. So that when we watch the show, we still have some surprises in store for us as viewers. I'm trying to begin to really capture the essence of these shows from a technical perspective, um, simply because some shows like Beverly Hills have just seemed to become so toxic that it is definitely hard to watch and recap it from a personal emotional perspective. So I'm just trying to take a different approach as I move forward. I won't always get it as perfectly right as I am trying to, but that's the approach that I'm attempting to look at, as we kind of as we kind of investigate the clues and the things that lead up to the events that happen and how they happen and how we can use our third eye to figure out what's really happening behind the scenes. So let me know what you guys think about this. A lot of exciting stuff to come from Potomac. This cast does not ever fail to disappoint. And I'm excited to see what else they bring to the table this season. With that, we will catch you guys in the next video.